10. The lean, black-eyed credit jeweler was standing in his entrance in the same position as the afternoon before. He gave me the same knowing look as I turned in. The store looked just the same lamp glowed on the same desk in the corner, and the same ash blonde in the same black suede-like dress got up from behind it and came towards me with the same tentative smile on her face. Was it? She said and stopped. Her silver nails twitched at her side. There was an overtone of strain in her smile. It wasn't a smile at all, it was a grimace. She just thought it was a smile. Back again, I chirped airily and waved a cigarette. Mr. Geiger in today? I'm afraid not. No, I'm afraid not. Let me see, you wanted... I took my dark glasses off and tapped them delicately on the inside of my left wrist. If you can weigh 190 pounds and look like a fairy, I was doing my best. That was just a stall about those first editions, I whispered. I have to be careful. I've got something he'll want. Something he's wanted for a long time. The silver fingernails touched the blonde hair over one small jet-button ear. Oh, a salesman, she said. Well, you might come in tomorrow. I think he'll be here tomorrow. Drop the veil, I said. I'm in the business too. Her eyes narrowed until they were faint greenish glitter, like a forest pool far back in the shadow of trees. Her fingers clawed at her palm. She stared at me and chopped off a breath. Is he sick? I could go up to the house, I said impatiently. I haven't got forever. You weigh... Her throat jammed. I thought she was going to fall on her nose. Her whole body shivered and her face fell apart like a bride's pie crust. She put it together again slowly, as if lifting a great weight by sheer willpower. The smile came back with a couple of corners badly bent. No, she breathed. No, he's out of town. That wouldn't be any use. Can't you come in tomorrow? I had my mouth open to say something when the partition door opened a foot. The tall, dark, handsome boy in a jerkin looked out, pale-faced and tight-lipped, saw me shut the door quickly again, but not before I had seen on the floor behind him a lot of wooden boxes lined with newspapers and packed loosely with books. A man in very new overalls was fussing with them. Some of Geiger's stock was being moved out. When the door shut, I put my dark glasses on again and touched my hat. Tomorrow, then. I'd like to give you a card, but you know how it is. Yes, I know how it is. She shivered a little more and made a faint sucking noise between her tight lips. I went out of the store and west on the boulevard to the corner and north on the street to the alley which ran behind the stores. A small black truck with wire sides and no lettering on it was backed up to Geiger's place. The man in the very new overalls was just heaving a box up on the tailboard. I went back to the boulevard along the block next to Geiger's and found a taxi standing at a fire plug. A fresh-faced kid was reading a horror magazine behind the wheel. I leaned in and showed him $1. Tail job. He looked me over. Cop? Private. He grinned. Might meet Jack. He tucked the magazine over his rear view mirror and I got into the cab. We went around the block and pulled up across from Geiger's alley beside another fire plug. There were about a dozen boxes on the truck when the man in the overalls closed the screen doors and hooked the tailboard up and got in behind the wheel. Take 'em, I told my driver. The man in overalls gunned his motor, shot a glance up and down the alley and ran away fast in the other direction. He turned left out of the alley. We did the same. I caught a glimpse of the truck turning east on Franklin and told my driver to close in a little. He didn't or couldn't do it. I saw the truck 2 blocks away when we got to Franklin. We had it in sight to Vine and across Vine and all the way to Western. We saw it twice after Western. There was a lot of traffic and the fresh-faced kid tailed too far back. I was telling him about that without mincing words when the truck, now far ahead, turned north again. The street at which he turned was called Brittany Place. When we got to Brittany Place, the truck had vanished. The fresh-faced kid made comforting sounds at me through the panel, and we went up the hill at 4 miles an hour looking for the truck behind the bushes. 2 blocks up, Brittany Place swung to the east and met Randall Place in a tongue of land on which there was a white apartment house with its front on Randall Place and its basement garage opening at Brittany. We were going past that and the fresh-faced kid was telling me the truck couldn't be far away when I looked through the arched entrance of the garage and saw it back in the dimness with its rear doors open again. We went around to the front of the apartment house and I got out. There was nobody in the lobby, no switchboard. A wooden desk was pushed back against the wall beside a panel of gilt mailboxes. I looked the names over. A man named Joseph Brody had apartment 405. A man named Joe Brody had received $5,000 from General Sternwood to stop playing with Carmen and find some other little girl to play with. It could be the same Joe Brody. I felt like giving odds on it. I went around an elbow wall to the foot of tiled stairs and the shaft of the automatic elevator. The top of the elevator was level with the floor. There was a door beside the shaft lettering garage. I opened it and went down narrow steps to the basement. The automatic elevator was propped open and the man in new overalls was grunting hard as he stacked heavy boxes in it. I stood beside him and lit a cigarette and watched him. He didn't like me watching him. After a while I said, "Watch the weight, bud. She's only tested for half a ton. Where's the stuff going?" "Brody, 405, he grunted. "Manager?" "Yeah. Looks like a nice lot of loot." He glared at me with pale white-rimmed eyes. "Books," he snarled. 100 pounds a box. Easy, and me with 75-pound back. "Well, watch the weight," I said. He got into the elevator with 6 boxes and shut the doors. I went back up the stairs to the lobby and out to the street, and the cab took me downtown again to my office building. I gave the fresh-faced kid too much money and he gave me a dog-eared business card which for once I didn't drop into the majolica jar of sand beside the elevator bank. I had a room and a half on the 7th floor at the back. The half room was an office split in 2 to make reception rooms. Mine had my name on it and nothing else, and that only on the reception room. I always left this unlocked in case I had a client and the client had to sit down and wait. I had a client.